Hey guys, what's up? It's another Deck Tech Dudes with your boy Brian. This deck is really interesting actually. This is a variation on the 34 Rhinos that MTG Goldfish put out, a little while back, a couple months ago. But I wanted to make a modern version of the deck because I thought it was so funny that that I had to give it a shot. And I want to preface that this deck is not anywhere nearly good enough to play, but it's hilarious. It's funny, and when it works, it really works. I mean, you make so many rhinos. I mean, in modern, you just have access to so many copy spells and flicker spells. I mean, okay. Anyways, here, let me get into this. So I think the most complicated part of this deck is the land base, the mana fixing, because it is 4 color. The original deck, the one that MTG Goldfish came up with, was 5 color, but I decided to cut red because, I mean, 5 colors is really hard to do in modern. It's okay to do in standard because you have a little more time to accumulate your mana fixing, but in modern it's a little bit harder. So I cut it down to 4 colors, and really it's mainly 3 colors with the 4th color so that I can play Rhino, which is the main key of the deck. And for those of you who don't know what Siege Rhino does, it is a 4-drop, 1 white, black, green for a 4/5 trample that when it comes into play, it lightning helixes. So each opponent loses 3 life and you gain 3 life. Weird interaction with this and Commander is that all opponents lose 3 life, but you don't gain equal to the life lost that way. So it's not like if you're playing a Commander game you're going to gain a bunch of life, but it's still interesting that all opponents lose that life. But you're not playing this in Commander. You're not playing this deck list in Commander. You might be playing Siege Rhino in Commander. Regardless, I figured out that this deck was really needing mana fixing, and beyond the lands, which you can see are very complicated. There are many different types of fetch lands: 4 Misty Rainforests and 4 Windswept Heaths, 1 Verdant Catacombs, and 1 Marsh Flats, and 1 Flooded Strand. So in total, that's 11 different fetch lands just to get all the mana fixing that you could possibly want. But on top of that, we're also running 4 Birds of Paradise, as well as 2 Noble Hierarch, which both tap for mana. Not Noble Hierarch taps for green, white, or blue, which are all colors that we use. So very good card. Birds of Paradise, also very good card. The argument could be made that you would run 4 Noble Hierarch instead of 4 Birds of Paradise. Actually, I think that is the correct answer here. I don't know why I think just because that's what I entered in first. Okay, now on to why it's called 34 Rhinos. Now, if you haven't seen the 34 Rhinos deck list done by MTG Goldfish, I would look it up. It's hilarious. It's so funny. It's a standard deck list using a lot of different recursion effects in standard to get back more Siege Rhinos, and it's based off of the card Bring to Light. So Bring to Light is a 5-drop sorcery, 3 green, excuse me, and it has coverage. So you, depending on the amount of different colors you pay for this card, you get a different effect. But you search your library for a creature, instant, or sorcery card with converted mana cost less than or equal to the number of colors of mana you spent to cast Bring to Light, and then you exile that card, shuffle your library, and then you can cast that card. So in standard, there has been some decks called 8 Rhino, where you run 4 Rhinos and 4 Bring to Lights, and therefore you kind of have 8 cards that give you access to Rhino. And then off of that, the MTG Goldfish guys made 34 Rhinos, where they just made it, basically every single card in the deck except for lands give you access to Rhino, or if you have a Rhino in play, recur the effect of the lose 3 life, gain 3 life Rhino effect, and then you still get the body as well. So this deck builds off of that and then tries to do it in the modern format. So of course we have 4 Siege Rhino, main card in the deck, 4 Bring to Light, second most accessible Siege Rhino, 4 Birds of Paradise, going down the creatures, Clever Impersonator, a 4-drop 2/2 blue, and it enters the battlefield as a copy of any non-land permanent on the battlefield. So ideally, you'd be copying your Siege Rhino, but if you need to use this defensively, you can copy their creature, you can copy their permanent, anything. Planeswalker, that's actually really awesome because you can 4-drop copy their Ugin or whatever. So this card can be used defensively or offensively. Offensively, you would copy your Siege Rhino. 2 Jace, because when you flip Jace, his -3 says you may cast target instant or sorcery from your graveyard this turn, and then you would cast Bring to Light and or Cackling Counterpart, which says put a token onto the battlefield that's a copy of target creature you control. So this is also another way to get another Siege Rhino out. So if you flip Jace and you don't have any copy spells in your hand, you can very easily flip him and get another copy. And also, the creature version of Jace is a looter, which gets you closer and closer and closer to your Siege Rhino if you didn't start with it in your opening hand for whatever reason. You know, if you mulligan down to 5 and you're too nervous to mulligan again to try to get another Siege Rhino, this guy will dig through your deck for a Siege Rhino, which is very, very important. Noble Hierarch, again, very, very good mana fixing. This deck is really in need for it. 4 Phantasmal Image. This is great because on turn 5, after you play your first Siege Rhino, you can play 2 of these guys and get 2 more Siege Rhinos. After that, you can also copy any creature on the battlefield. So a lot like the Clever Impersonator, you can copy their own creatures. You can't copy their planeswalkers or non-land permanents, but you can copy their creatures. So this can be used defensively and or offensively. Restoration Angel, I love this card. This is probably the most effective copy of Siege Rhino in the deck, just because it's 4 cost and it has flash. So after you play your Siege Rhino and they try to remove your Siege Rhino, you can use this card to not only protect your Siege Rhino, but regain the enter the battlefield ability on the Siege Rhino, because the Siege Rhino says enter the battlefield, and this exiles it and then makes it come back, which then triggers the enter the battlefield effect again. So the flash on this card really makes it very, very strong. It protects your Rhinos as well as recurs them. And then on top of that, you have a 3/4 flying. Very, very strong. Our sorceries, we have Bring to Light. We've already talked about this. And then we have Supply and Demand. You're going to have to tilt your head a little bit for this one. Really, the only part of this card that will be casting is the demand part. And it says search your library for a multicolored card, reveal it, and then put it into your hand, shuffle your library. So it's a 3-drop tutor for Bring to Light, for Siege Rhino, and that's it. Because really, those are the only 2 cards that you're looking for. Because every other card is monocolored. But again, those are basically the only 2 cards you're looking for. And this is really a cheaper version of Bring to Light, because well, it's 3-drop, but you don't want it every single time. Whereas Bring to Light, so like Bring to Light and Supply and Demand are both tutor cards, but Bring to Light can cast the card immediately, and it doesn't have to search Siege Rhino. It can also search up Restoration Angel or any of the creatures in order to cast and copy the Siege Rhino. Whereas Supply and Demand really is acting as a 5th and 6th copy of Bring to Light, only because they can search out Siege Rhinos and or more Bring to Lights. Cackling Counterpart, we have talked about this as a 3-drop copy spell, but the key part of this is that it is instant. So much like the Restoration Angel, you can copy your Siege Rhino in response to their removal, or do it on the end of their turn in order to get them low enough to kill them the next turn with another Siege Rhino. This card is very versatile, and it has flashback just in case. Finally, Mirror Mockery. This card is great. I love this card. It again, another very versatile card because you can use it for defense and or offense. You can place it on their creatures, so when they attack with their own creatures, you make a copy of their creature and then just block it and trade. Or you can put it on a Restoration Angel or a Siege Rhino and just keep making Siege Rhinos every single turn you attack with Siege Rhino. Or I mean, like the best case scenario, you'd put it on a Restoration Angel and already have a Siege Rhino out, because every time you attack with the Restoration Angel, it has flying, so it's most likely not going to be blocked and killed, but you still get to make a copy of the Restoration Angel and bounce the Siege Rhino and get the effect again. I mean, the effect itself is very, very strong. It's backbreaking, really. I mean, if you've ever played against Siege Rhino in Standard, it's backbreaking. A quick note about the lands over here. These lands are taken almost directly from the MTG Goldfish lands. I mean, and so that's why I'm running some of these battle lands, the Battle of Zendikar dual lands. You can still search them up, and this deck is kind of really designed so that your first 2 lands are gonna be basic land, like only need to be basic lands, so that any land that you search up after that can be a battle land and won't deal you damage. But all in all, you could probably still just run shocks with this because of the amount of Siege Rhinos that you have. You're gaining enough life that you honestly probably don't need to worry about shocking yourself so much. But you are searching out so many lands that it actually, you might as well be safe if you can. I don't know for sure if this land base is good enough for Modern right now. I'm not great with land bases. Oh, I'm glad I was talking about lands because I would have forgotten this card. Mortuary Mire is a new BFC card that, as of this recording, that takes a creature card from your graveyard and puts it on top of your library when you cast that. Or not even cast, when you play that land card. So this is another recursion of a Siege Rhino in case they did successfully get it into your graveyard. You can always just get it back with this card. So let's do a quick count up of how many Siege Rhinos we have. I believe we don't have quite 34, but I think in exchange for not having 34 Rhinos, we gain a little bit more consistent Rhinos. So counting up, we have 1, and then 5, 7, 11, 15, 19, 23, 25, 29, 31. So all in all, we have 31 Rhinos in this deck. Not quite 34, not quite true to its name, unfortunately. But I think at the cost of playing more Rhinos, we've gotten Birds of Paradise, Noble Hierarch. I would play 2 birds and 4 Noble Hierarchs instead of what I have listed here. But, again, that's up to you. Because Noble Hierarch is significantly more money than Birds of Paradise, you may make that choice. You know what? Birds of Paradise is better. It is 1 mana of any color. The Exalted is not that important. Regardless, 31 Rhinos in the deck. Pretty crazy. Not, it's not as consistent as I would like it to be. So if you look at this deck and you're like, man, he forgot this card, it would be so much more consistent with this card. Please let me know. I would love to play this deck in Modern at my local game store. I would love to just come in with this ridiculous deck and play. I mean, and like Bring to Light is only like $2 right now, which is incredible. I thought it would be like $5 or $6, but whatever. Okay, I'm buying a playset. This deck is ridiculous. I love it. It's hilarious. I've played against Siege Rhinos before, and I hated it every single time they played Siege Rhino. I got into Modern just as Rhino Pod was becoming a thing, and thank God they banned a birthing pod. If you don't agree with me about that, you can for sure yell at me as all you want. But yeah, this deck is hilarious. I think it's hilarious, and shout out to MTG Goldfish for coming up with the standard version of this and inspiring me to make the modern version. But if you guys like what you see, and if you guys like deck techs like this, make sure you leave a like, a comment, and subscribe for further content. We do matchups, as well as I come up with deck tips as like weekly as much as I can. But thanks for watching, and we hope to see you next time.